The pulpit thundered like Judgment Day itself. Reverend Samuel Hargrove's voice cracking the humid air of the old wooden chapel in Millwood, Georgia. Sodom and Gomorrah ain't just Bible stories. Brothers and sisters, they're warnings. This world is slithering into the pit with its rainbow flags and unholy unions, dragging our souls down with it. His fist slammed the Bible so hard the pages fluttered like trapped birds. But in the back pew, Daniel froze, his heart pounding not from fear of hellfire, but from the secret burning in his chest. The boy he'd kissed under the willow tree last night wasn't just a friend anymore. Daniel's fingers dug into the worn hymn book, knuckles white as Samuel's eyes swept the congregation like a hawk spotting sin. 22 years old, fresh out of community college with a graphic design degree gathering dust. Daniel had come home to this Bible Belt cradle expecting solace after his parents' car wreck 2 years back. Instead, he'd found a cage, Samuel's sermons a daily lash, each one flaying open the truth Daniel hid. He was gay, and the man who'd raised him, his own uncle, would sooner exorcise him than embrace him. As the amens rippled through the flock like a fever, Daniel slipped out the side door into the sticky June twilight, the cicadas screaming their symphony of secrets. He leaned against the church's peeling white siding, lighting a cigarette with shaking hands, Samuel's one blind spot, the vice he tolerated because a man's gotta have his demons, even if they're the right kind. But tonight, after that kiss with Jamie from the auto shop, the weight felt unbearable. Jamie's calloused hands on his waist, the taste of cheap beer and possibility, it was everything Daniel craved and everything Samuel damned. Back inside, Samuel rapped his sermon with a flourish, his baritone dipping low for the altar call. If you're wrestling shadows tonight, come forward. Let the Lord wash you clean. A few stragglers shuffled up, heads bowed, but Samuel's gaze lingered on the empty spot where Daniel should have been. His nephew, the last blood tie to his drowned brother and sister-in-law, the boy he'd pulled from the wreckage of grief like a miracle. Samuel wiped sweat from his brow, the Georgia heat clinging like accusation. At 58, with arthritis gnawing his knuckles and a congregation shrinking faster than the town's cotton fields, he clung to this firebrand faith like a lifeline. It had saved him once, after all, pulled him from the bottle and the bitterness when he was Daniel's age, orphaned and adrift. He found Daniel by the oak tree out back, smoke curling from his lips like a devil's whisper. "Boy, you sneak out again? Lord's word ain't optional." Samuel's voice was gravel, softened by the love he rarely voiced but always felt, a fierce, protective thing born from burying his only brother. Daniel stubbed the cigarette under his boot, eyes downcast. "Just needed air, Uncle Sam. That heat in there. It's suffocating." He forced a grin, but it cracked like dry earth. Samuel studied him, the sharp jawline so like his brother's, the dark curls inherited from their mama, now threaded with the first hints of gold from summer sun. Something was off tonight. Daniel's shoulders hunched, his laugh too quick to fade. "Air won't save your soul, Danny. Come on, help me lock up." Maud left peach cobbler in the kitchen. Samuel clapped a hand on Daniel's back, steering him toward the parsonage next door, a squat brick house with sagging porches and ghosts in every corner. Inside, the air smelled of fried okra and old books, Samuel's domain of salvation stacked high. Daniel busied himself slicing cobbler, the knife slipping once, nicking his thumb. Blood welled up, bright and accusing. Samuel bandaged it without a word, his thick fingers gentle. You've been jumpy as a cat in a room full of rockin' chairs. What's eating you? He poured sweet tea, the ice clinking like chimes. Daniel stared at the amber liquid, the words clawing up his throat. I kissed a boy. I want to kiss him again. And God, Uncle, what if you knew? Instead, he muttered, just work stress. That design gig in Atlanta fell through. A lie, but close enough. Samuel nodded, satisfied, and launched into a tale of his own youth, scraping by in this same town after his folks passed in '68, the year the world cracked open with assassinations and moon landings. Raised me right here, under this roof. Your granddaddy's brother, Uncle Elias, he took me in. Taught me the good book. Kept the wolves at bay. Samuel's eyes softened, then hardened. World's gone mad since then. Men marrying men, parading their shame. It's an abomination, Danny. Straight from the devil's playbook. Daniel's stomach twisted. Uncle Elias, the name surfaced like a half-remembered dream, a shadowy figure in faded photos, always smiling too wide, his arm slung casual around Samuel's young shoulders. Daniel had never met him. Elias had vanished when Samuel was barely 20, called to the mission field, or so the story went. But tonight, with Jamie's text buzzing in his pocket, miss you already, D. Tomorrow, the hypocrisy stung like salt in a wound. They ate in silence, the cobbler turning to ash in Daniel's mouth. Later, as thunder rumbled distant over the pines, Daniel retreated to his room upstairs, the slanted ceiling pressing low like judgment. He scrolled through his phone. Jamie's selfies a lifeline in the dark, tattooed arms, crooked grin, the kind of easy confidence Daniel envied. Their first date had been stolen hours at the lake, hands brushing over bait buckets, lips meeting in the cab of Jamie's truck as fireflies blinked like hesitant stars. It was real, raw, the first time Daniel felt seen. But Samuel's voice echoed from below. Pray on it, boy. The Lord's got a plan. Daniel buried his face in the pillow, tears hot and silent. How could the man who'd bandaged his scrapes and taught him to drive stick shift spew such venom? And what if Samuel knew, really knew, the church would devour them both? Downstairs, Samuel poured a finger of bourbon, his other blind spot, and settled into his armchair, the one Elias had carved whittles into as a boy. He flipped open the family Bible, his pages brittle, seeking solace in Proverbs. But his mind wandered to that long-ago summer, Elias's laugh booming through the fields, his stories of far-off places laced with a tenderness Samuel had mistaken for fatherly love. Elias, who baked cornbread with too much butter and hummed show tunes while mending fences. The man who'd shielded him from the town's whispers after their parents' crash. Who'd whispered, "You're enough, Sammy. Just as you are." Samuel slammed the Bible shut, guilt twisting like kudzu. He'd buried those memories deep when Elias left. No forwarding address, just a letter saying, "Follow your heart, son." Mine led me away. Samuel had chosen the cloth instead, preaching fire to drown the questions. Now, with Daniel fraying at the edges, the past clawed back. The next morning dawned muggy, the sun a hammer on the tin roof. Daniel woke to the smell of bacon, Samuel already at the stove, humming an old gospel tune off-key. Rise and shine, nephew. Church picnic today. Folks expect the Hargrove men to lead the charge. Daniel groaned, rolling out of bed, his phone silent. Jamie had an early shift, their next stolen moment hours away. At the picnic, Under the sprawling oaks of Millwood Park, the air buzzed with laughter and the sizzle of burgers. Samuel held court by the grill, his booming voice drawing a circle of deacons, wives fanning themselves with programs. See that rainbow flag they hoisted in Atlanta? That's Satan's banner. Plain and simple. We gotta stand firm, or our boys'll be next. Confused, lost. Daniel hovered at the edges, plate in hand, nodding when expected. His eyes snagged on Jamie across the field, tossing a frisbee with the auto shop crew, his tank top clinging to sweat-slick skin. One glance, a half-smile, and Daniel's pulse raced. He ducked behind the potato salad table, heart hammering, when Mrs. Hargrove, no relation, just the church busybody, sidled up. "Daniel, honey, you look peaked. That uncle of yours wearing you down with all this end times talk." He forced a chuckle. "Nah, Maud. Just the heat." But inside, the lie festered. As the afternoon wore on, Samuel pulled him aside by the creek, where willows trailed fingers in the water. "You been distant, Danny. Like you're carrying the world's weight. Talk to me." Daniel stared at the ripples, Jamie's laugh echoing faint. "Uncle, what if God's plan don't match what folks say? What if?" He trailed off, the words too heavy. Samuel's face tightened. "God's plan is clear as scripture. Man and woman, that's the order. Anything else is rebellion." His hand gripped Daniel's shoulder, firm as chains. "Don't let the devil whisper lies. You're a good boy. Stay the course." That night, after the dishes clattered into the sink and Samuel retired with his Bible, Daniel couldn't sleep. He padded downstairs, the house creaking like old bones, and rifled through the hall closet. Boxes of yellowed letters, moth-eaten quilts, the detritus of lives unlived. His fingers brushed a tin lockbox, rusted at the edges, Samuel's name etched faint. The latch gave with a sigh, spilling photos like forgotten sins. There, amid faded Polaroids of baptisms and barbecues, was the one that stopped his breath. Young Samuel, maybe 16, gangly and gap-toothed, arm in arm with Elias on the parsonage porch. But it wasn't the pose, Elias's hand lingering too long on Samuel's waist, their heads tilted close, eyes locked in a gaze that spoke volumes unspoken. No, it was the inscription on the back. In Elias's looping script, "My Sammy, the light of my hidden world. Raised you in love's shadow, never regret it." Daniel's knees buckled. Raised him? Elias hadn't just taken Samuel in. He'd been the father figure, the secret keeper, pouring everything into a boy the town deemed that poor orphan. And the way they looked, it hit like lightning. Elias was gay. Had loved, perhaps, in ways Samuel now condemned from every pulpit. Tears blurred the ink as thunder cracked overhead, rain lashing the windows. Daniel clutched the photo, pulse thundering. This changed everything. Samuel's fire, his fear, the walls he'd built. But what now? Confront him, or let the secret rot? Like everything else in Millwood? He slipped the photo into his pocket, the weight of it burning through denim, and crept back upstairs. Jamie's text glowed. "Sneak out? Trucks running." For the first time, Daniel didn't hesitate. He texted back, "On my way." The rain-slicked backroads of Millwood twisted like veins under the moon. Daniel's old Ford pickup hydroplaning through puddles as he gunned it toward the quarry. Jamie waited in his Chevy, headlights cutting the downpour like accusatory beams. Daniel killed the engine and bolted across the gravel. Jamie's door swinging open just in time for their collision, wet shirts, desperate mouths, hands fumbling buttons in the cab's dim glow. "You're late," Jamie murmured against Daniel's neck, breath hot and tasting of mint gum. "Thought you chickened out." "Almost did." Daniel pulled back, the photo crinkling in his pocket like a guilty secret. Jamie's eyes, hazel flecked with gold, searched his, calluses rough on Daniel's jaw as he cupped his face. At 24, Jamie was all easy edges. Grease-stained jeans from the shop, a tattoo of a phoenix curling up his forearm, inked after his own coming-out brawl with his daddy. "What's got you twisted tonight, D? You look like you seen a ghost." Daniel hesitated, rain drumming the roof like impatient fingers. "Found something. About Uncle Sam." The words tumbled out then, the photo, Elias's note, the implication hanging heavy as humidity. Jamie listened, thumb tracing Daniel's collarbone, his silence a bomb. "Damn," Jamie whistled low. "Your uncle's the fire and brimstone kingpin, and his razor was—" "What? His lover? Or close enough?" He shook his head, curls damp and wild. "That's some Greek tragedy shit." "You gonna tell him?" Daniel laughed, bitter and broken. "Tell the man who says I'm hellbound? For what? Absolution." He leaned into Jamie, foreheads touching, the world narrowing to this truck bed haven. I love you, okay, and this town's choking me. But that photo, it's like proof we're not monsters." Jamie's kiss was fierce then, all teeth and promise, hands mapping Daniel's ribs like sacred text. "You're not a monster. You're mine." They moved together slow at first, rain a curtain against prying eyes, body speaking what words couldn't, love as rebellion, tender and unyielding. Afterward, tangled in blankets smelling of motor oil and pine, Daniel traced the phoenix. "What if we left? Atlanta's got jobs. Rainbows on every corner." Jamie grinned, lazy and luminous. "Thought you'd never ask. But your uncle, he raised you. That counts for something." Sleep came fitful, dreams of pulpits crumbling under rainbow floods. Dawn broke gray, Daniel slipping home before the roosters crowed, the photo a talisman against his chest. Samuel was up early, as always, coffee percolating on the stove, his sermon notes spread like battle plans. "Morning, Danny. You look like you wrestled the angel and lost." He slid a mug across the formica, black as sin. Daniel sipped, scalding, avoiding those preachers' eyes. "Slept rough. Storm kept me up." The lie sat heavy, but Samuel just grunted, turning to the window where mist clung to the pines. "Got a visitor today. Cousin Lila from Savannah, your mama's side. Bringing boxes from the old house. Might unearth some memories." His voice caught, just a hitch, but Daniel caught it. Elias's shadow loomed larger now, the photo's edges worn from nocturnal fingering. Lila arrived at noon, her Cadillac groaning under the weight of cardboard tombs. 50-something and sharp as a switchblade, she hugged Samuel stiffly, then enveloped Daniel in perfume and powder. "Look at you, all grown. Last time I saw you, you were knee-high, chasing fireflies." Over ham sandwiches at the kitchen table, she unpacked, china from Grandma's wedding, letters yellowed with age, a shoebox of photos that made Samuel's fork pause midair. "Lord, Sammy, you kept everything," Lila teased, but her eyes were soft. Daniel watched Samuel's face as she pulled out the tin box, the same one he'd pilfered. Elias's things. He sent M before. Well, you know, Samuel's jaw clenched. Before he lit out for who knows where. Good riddance to bad influences. But his hands trembled as he lifted the lid, photos spilling like accusations. There was the one, Elias and young Samuel, that loaded gaze. Lila glanced, then away, a flush creeping up her neck. Uncle Elias was a character, she said carefully. Raised you proper after Mama and Daddy went. Baked better pies than any woman I know. A pause. Heavy. He loved you fierce, Sammy. In his way, Samuel's laugh was bark without bite. His way was the world's way, twisted. Taught me right from wrong. Then vanished when the heat came. Daniel's breath hitched. Heat? Whispers of scandal. Perhaps. The town's tongues wagging about Elias's bachelor ways. His trips to the city. The men who visited under cover of night. Lila packed up quick after that, kissing cheeks and promising to call. Alone, Samuel retreated to his study, door shut like a vault. Daniel lingered in the hall, ear pressed to oak, catching muffled sobs, raw, wrenching, the sound of a man unraveling. That evening, guilt gnawed Daniel to the bone. He texted Jamie, "Can't tonight." Family shit. Then, steeling himself, knocked on Samuel's door. "Uncle, you okay?" The knob turned slow. Samuel's face a mask, red-rimmed eyes, stubble silver in the lamplight. "Come in, boy." The study smelled of dust and despair, bookshelves sagging under tomes of theology. Samuel sank into his chair, gesturing to the photo on the desk. "You saw it. Lila's box." It brought him back. Daniel perched on the edge of the desk, heart hammering. "Elias. He raised you. In secret, like the note said." Samuel's gaze sharpened. "Note? What note?" Daniel fished it from his pocket, unfolding the creased paper with hands gone cold. Samuel read it twice, lips moving silent, then crumpled it like trash. Lies. Elias was troubled, fought his demons, same as us. But he chose exile over salvation. Or maybe he chose love, Daniel whispered, the words escaping like breath held too long. Samuel's head snapped up, eyes boring in. "Love? That's blasphemy. The Bible's clear. But what if it's not?" Daniel's voice rose, cracking. "What if Elias loved you like a father, or more, and you preach against that every Sunday? Against me?" The confession hung, naked and trembling. Samuel recoiled as if slapped, chair scraping back. "You? What in God's name are you saying?" Daniel, his face drained to ash, the room shrinking. "I'm gay, Uncle Sam. Been fighting it since high school, but it's me. It's who I am." Tears tracked hot down Daniel's cheeks. "And Jamie, he's good. He's real. But you'd cast me out." Samuel staggered to his feet, hand to his chest like a man shot. "No. Lord, no. This house, this faith, it's poison." He grabbed the photo, hurling it at the wall. Glass shattered, shards glinting like broken halos. Elias knew. He saw the darkness in me, tried to drag me down with him. Daniel flinched, but stood firm. Or he saw the light. Raised you in secret because the world would have burned you both. And now you're burning me. Samuel collapsed to his knees, sobs tearing free, deep, guttural, the wail of a soul long silenced. Daniel knelt too, arms wrapping hesitant around the man who'd been father, brother, jailer. "I didn't mean to break you," he murmured, rocking them both as rain lashed the panes anew. But in that embrace, something shifted, Samuel's hand clutching Daniel's shirt, not in rejection, but need. The line between uncle and nephew blurred, fraught with the forbidden, the photo's echo whispering of love's unspoken. Outside, lightning forked the sky, illuminating the fractured path ahead. The days blurred into a haze of uneasy truce, the parsonage thick with unspoken shrapnel. Samuel canceled Wednesday prayer meeting, claiming a migraine from the storm. But Daniel knew better. The man's eyes, once steel, now darted like cornered prey. Meals were silent rituals. Grits spooned mechanically, coffee gone bitter. Daniel worked shifts at the feed store, sketching logos in stolen margins, dreaming of Atlanta's sprawl where men like him walked hand in hand without whispers. Jamie sensed the fracture over late-night calls, his voice a gravelly anchor. "You dropped a bomb, D. Give him time, he's old school. But he loves you, love." The word wrapped Daniel like kudzu, sweet and strangling. That weekend, they met at the quarry again, this time with blankets and a cooler of beers, the water a glassy mirror under stars. Jamie pulled him close by the fire pit, sparks dancing like defiant fireflies. "Tell me about the photo again," Jamie said, fingers weaving through Daniel's curls. "Elias, sounds like he was ahead of his time. Hiding in plain sight, raising that hard head." Daniel traced patterns in the dirt, the tale spilling softer now. Samuel never talks details. But the way he looked at that picture, like it was a grenade with the pin pulled. He paused, Jamie's warmth seeping through his flannel. "Makes me wonder what else he's buried. What if he feels it too? That pull." Jamie's brow furrowed, hands stilling. "Whoa! Slow down. Your uncle? That's a minefield, babe. He's family, blood or not. It's messy." He kissed Daniel's temple, firm and grounding. "Focus on us. We're the good part." But doubt seated deep. Sunday loomed like execution. Samuel back in the pulpit, voice hoarse but unyielding. "Brethren, temptation knocks at every door, subtle as a serpent, fierce as a flood. We must bolt the locks with prayer." His eyes skipped Daniel in the front row, a deliberate dodge that stung worse than scorn. After, as congregants milled with potluck casseroles, Samuel cornered him by the fellowship hall. "We need to talk. Tonight. No more dancing round the fire." His grip on Daniel's arm was iron, but his palm sweated, fear, not fury. The evening unspooled slow, fried chicken cooling on the stove, bourbon bottles dusted off from the cabinet's depths. Samuel poured measures, handing one over with a nod. To truths, ugly as they come. They clinked glasses, the amber liquid burning paths to resolve. "I owe you my story," Samuel started, settling into the armchair, the one Elias carved. His voice was low, laced with the South's slow drawl. "After Mama and Daddy died in that flood, 68, mud up to the rafters, Elias showed up like a ghost from Atlanta. Tall, broad, with a laugh that shook the timbers. Said he was family duty, but he was more. Took me fishing at dawn, taught me to swing a hammer, read me Kipling by lamplight. a ghost of a smile. He smelled like bay rum and newsprint, worked odd jobs up north, sent money when he could. Daniel leaned forward, glass forgotten. And the love part? The note. Samuel's swallow was audible. It crept in slow. Nights when storms raged, he'd hold me, nothing sinful, not at first. Just a boy needing his anchor. But as I grew, I saw the looks he got in town. Whispers about his friends from the city, the way he'd vanish weekends. One night, after a revival tent caught fire, drunk deacon's fault, Elias pulled me aside. Sammy, the world's got no room for men like me. But you're the sun. Don't let 'em dim you. He drained his glass, refilling with unsteady hand. I was 17 when I kissed him. Back porch, fireflies thick as sin. Tasted like regret and revelation. Lasted a heartbeat, then he shoved me away, face like ash. Never again. Boy, that's not your path. Packed his bag next morning, left that note and a wad of cash. Said he'd write, but never did. Died 5 years back, cancer, alone in some Philly flophouse. I found out from a lawyer's letter. Daniel's throat tightened, the parallel a knife twist. You loved him, and he raised you, hid it all to protect you. But you turned it to hate. Samuel's eyes blazed, wet and wild. Hate? It's armor. Danny, the church took me in, gave me purpose. Preaching keeps the darkness at bay. For me, for you. If I let it in. He trailed off, voice fracturing. That kiss with Elias? It haunts me. What if it's in the blood? What if you're next because of him? No. Daniel slid to his knees before the chair, hands on Samuel's thighs. Innocent, urgent. It's not curse. It's human. I love Jamie, uncle. Fierce, like Elias loved you. And maybe you could love me the same. Not like that, like family, whole. Samuel's hand cupped Daniel's cheek, thumb brushing tears, the touch electric, teetering on taboo. Time stretched, rain pattering soft, the air charged with what-ifs. Then Samuel pulled back, standing abrupt. Enough. This house ain't built for confessions. He fled to his room, door clicking shut like a gavel. Daniel sat frozen, bourbon pooling forgotten, the boundary they'd brushed both salvation and damnation. Monday brought the storm's aftermath, branches littering lawns, the creek swollen muddy. At the feed store, Daniel loaded sacks of grain, muscles burning distraction, when Jamie rolled up in the delivery truck. Heard about the big talk. You okay? Daniel wiped sweat, leaning into the open window. Spilled everything. Elias was his everything. And mine, in a way. He recounted the porch kiss, the abandonment, Samuel's armored heart. Jamie's face darkened, protective. Sounds like he's projecting hellfire to dodge his own flames. But if he's hurting you, he trailed off, hand reaching for Daniel's. Come with me tonight. Shop's closing early. Got a buddy's cabin upriver. No uncles, no sermons. Just us. Temptation tugged, but loyalty anchored. Soon. Promise. I gotta fix this first. That night, the parsonage felt like a tomb. Samuel's snores ragged through thin walls. Daniel couldn't sleep. Ghosts circling, Elias's note. Samuel's touch lingering like brand. Midnights found him in the attic, Sifting more relics. Elias's journal. Leather-bound and brittle. Pages filled with coded longing. Sammy's smile could redeem the world. But mine's a shadow love, best kept chained. Dawn crept in as Daniel descended. Journal tucked under arm. Resolve hardening. Samuel was at the table. Bible open. Face gaunt. Couldn't sleep either? Found this. Daniel slid the journal across. Elias's script stark. Samuel flipped pages. Breath hitching at entries of quiet devotion. Fishing trips veiled as mentorship. The porch kiss dissected as the sin I almost claimed. For his sake denied. It's all here, Samuel whispered, closing it like a coffin. He sacrificed everything. For me, tears fell unashamed, carving channels in stubble. I repaid him with silence. With sermons that spit on his grave. Daniel knelt again, closer this time, hands on knees. Forgive him. Forgive yourself. And me. Love me as I am. The plea hung, vulnerable, the room pulsing with possibility. Samuel's fingers threaded into Daniel's hair, gentle, trembling. I do, boy. God help me. I do. Their foreheads met, breaths mingling, the line dissolving in shared grief. It wasn't passion, not yet, or ever, but a reckoning, raw and redemptive. Outside, the sun pierced clouds, gilding the pines in hesitant gold. But peace fractured fast. Tuesday's mail brought the deacon's summons. Reverend, rumors swirl 'bout your nephew, unseemly company. Church board meets Friday. Best prepare your defense. Samuel's face crumpled, the world's judgment crashing in. They know. Somehow, panic edged his voice, old fears rising. Daniel's blood ran cold. Millwood's vines twisted quick. Someone at the picnic, eyes sharp as thorns. We'll face it. Together. But Samuel shook his head, wild-eyed. No. I built this flock on fire. Can't let it burn. He stood, pacing, the journal clutched like shield. You go. To Jamie. To Atlanta. I'll hold the line. Betrayal stung sharp. After confessions. This exile? You're casting me out? After everything. Not out free. Samuel's voice broke. Like Elias set me free. It's the only love I know. Daniel stormed out, slamming the screen door, gravel spitting under tires as he raced to Jamie. Pack the truck, he gasped, collapsing into waiting arms. We're gone. Tonight, as they fled south on Highway 441, Millwood shrinking in the rearview, Daniel glanced back once. The parsonage a speck, Samuel's silhouette in the window, hand raised in farewell or plea. The photo, tucked safe, whispered of secrets unbroken, loves half-claimed. Atlanta loomed, a neon promise, but the wound wept fresh. End of file 3 to 1005 words. Atlanta swallowed them whole. A concrete jungle pulsing with bass from club doors and the chatter of crowds indifferent to sin. Jamie's cousin hooked them up with a sublet in Midtown. A shoebox apartment above a taqueria. Walls thin but alive with street symphony. Daniel woke to espresso and possibility, sketching freelance gigs on his laptop while Jamie tinkered with bikes at a garage downtown. Nights were theirs. Dive bars with drag shows, rooftop parties where hands linked without shame, bodies moving free under string lights. You're glowing, Jamie teased one evening, nuzzling Daniel's neck as they walked Piedmont Park, autumn leaves crunching copper underfoot. It was October now. Millwood's humidity a memory, replaced by crisp air scented with street food and change. Daniel laughed, twirling Jamie into a dip, their kiss drawing wolf whistles from joggers. Feels like breathing for the first time, but even in bliss. The tether tugged. Samuel's last voicemail. Unreturned. Danny, come home. We can fix this. Guilt gnawed. The journal's pages dog-eared in Daniel's nightstand. Elias's words a haunting refrain. Work steadied them. Daniel landed a contract with a queer mag, illustrating covers of defiant joy, rainbow fists, intertwined silhouettes. Jamie fixed Harleys for influencers, his phoenix tattoo a conversation starter. They built a rhythm, mornings tangled in sheets, evenings cooking gumbo from Lila's recipe, dreams whispered of a house with a yard someday. Yet shadows crept. A letter arrived in November, postmarked Millwood, the church board's edict, forwarded by Lila. Reverend Hargrove, in light of recent indiscretions involving your nephew, we regret to inform. Samuel had resigned, pulpit vacated, the flock scattering like spooked quail. Daniel's hands shook, reading aloud to Jamie over takeout lo mein. He quit? For me, the words choked, tears splashing soy sauce. Jamie pulled him close, fierce. Or for himself. Time to face the music. D. Go back. I'll drive. The drive north was a funeral procession. I-75 unspooling like regrets. Millwood huddled gray under November skies, the parsonage sagging lonelier, windows dark. Samuel answered the door hollow-eyed, unshaven, a bottle's ghost on his breath. You came, couldn't not. Daniel stepped in, Jamie lingering on the porch like sentinel. The living room smelled of dust and defeat. Bible unopened on the coffee table. Elias's journal beside it, cover cracked. Samuel sank onto the sofa, gesturing to a chair. They're gone. Deacon Phelps took the flock. Preaches milder. But it'll do. A wry twist of lips. Turns out, my fire scared him more than saved him. Daniel sat, knees bumping. The letter. You resigned because of me? Samuel's gaze dropped. Partly. But mostly. The mirror. After you left, I read every page of Elias's words. Saw myself hiding, hating what I couldn't name. He rubbed his face, weary. That night, after you stormed out, I burned the sermon notes. All of them. Felt like shedding skin. Relief flooded, mingled with ache. What now? You're okay? A chuckle. Rusty. Okay's a tall order. But free? Closer. Samuel leaned forward, eyes searching. And you? That boy outside. He treat you right. Jamie's solid. Loves me fierce. Daniel's voice softened. Like Elias loved you. Samuel nodded, throat working. I think he did. More than mentor. The journal. Hints at it. Nights in Atlanta. Before he came for me, clubs. Lovers. But with me, it was pure. A father's love, twisted by the times. He paused, vulnerable. I felt it once, that pull toward men. Buried it deep, preached it away. But seeing you, Danny, brave where I wasn't, it cracked the dam. Daniel's breath caught, the air thickening. Uncle, not like that. Samuel's hand raised, placating. Never. Your blood, my brother's boy. But understanding. That's the grace I missed. He stood, pulling Daniel into a hug, bone-crushing, cleansing. Forgive an old fool? Already did. They held on, the parsonage exhaling years of silence. Jamie joined them for coffee. Awkward at first. Southern graces exchanged. War stories swapped. Samuel eyed the phoenix tattoo, chuckling. Bird of rebirth. Fitting. By dusk, barriers crumbled. Jamie shared shop tales. Samuel countered with fishing yarns. Laughter tentative but real. As they drove back to Atlanta, stars pricking the velvet sky, Daniel's phone buzzed. Lila. Samuel's talking retirement. Mission work. Maybe. Somewhere quiet. Proud of you, nephew. Peace settled. Fragile but firm. But fate, that southern trickster, had one more twist. December brought snow rare, feathery for Georgia, and with it, the past's final claw. A package arrived at the apartment. Unmarked, heavy. Inside, a stack of letters tied with twine, addressed to Elias in faded ink. Postscript, from a friend in Philly. For Samuel. Daniel's gut twisted. He drove to Millwood alone this time, Jamie understanding with a kiss. Samuel met him on the porch, bundled in flannel, breath fogging. What's this? Trouble. They retreated inside, fire crackling reluctant in the grate. Samuel untied the bundle, letters fanning like accusations, dozens, from the 70s to 90s, penned by a man named Theo. Elias, my heart, Sammy's glow in your stories keeps me sane in this steel city. When he visits, bring him. We'll show him the world ain't all thorns. Samuel's face blanched, then bloomed red. Theo. Elias's partner. He mentioned him once, casual. Said he was a college chum. The letters painted vivid. Shared apartments in Greenwich Village. Protests for rights Daniel read about in history books. Quiet domesticity amid the AIDS crisis. Theo's final missive. 1995. Elias gone too soon. Sammy, if you're reading, know he died loving you. And us. Come find me. We're family still. Betrayal crashed. Samuel hurling a letter into the flames. Sparks flying. He lied. Built this lie of bachelor uncle. When he had. This. Fury twisted. But beneath. Grief howled. Raised me in secret. Yeah, but hid his whole damn life. For what? To spare me the shame. Daniel caught his wrists. Grounding. Or to give you normalcy. In a world that would have lynched him, the fire popped, illuminating Samuel's torment. Eyes wild, chest heaving. Theo's alive. Somewhere. Go find him. Samuel wrenched free, pacing. Find him? After 40 years? I'm a relic. Preacher turned pariah, but his voice cracked on longing. The what-if's a chorus. Then be more. Daniel stood, fierce. Elias gave you that. Now claim it. The confrontation peaked that night, bourbon flowing freer than tears. Samuel railed, at Elias, at God, at the boy he'd almost broken. Daniel absorbed it, countering with truths. You raised me better than you know. Taught me grit, even in the grit. By midnight, exhaustion won. Samuel slumped, head in hands. I loved him, Danny. As family. More, in dreams I killed. And now, this Theo, he's the loose end. Tie it, Daniel urged. For Elias. For you. Dawn found Samuel packing a duffel. Old jeans, the journal, letters tucked reverent. Bus to Philly. See if ghosts forgive. He hugged Daniel tight, whiskey on his breath, hope in his grip. Watch over that boy of yours. Build what I couldn't. As the Greyhound pulled away, Millwood fading, Daniel texted Jamie, road trip north? Uncle's chasing redemption. The reply, hell yeah. Love you, Phoenix boy. Philadelphia in winter was a bite. Wind off the Delaware whipping sleet like accusations. The city of brotherly love testing its creed. Samuel stepped off the bus at Market Street. Duffel slung heavy. Heart heavier. The letters addresses a map to maybe. Theo's last known. A brownstone in Fishtown, now gentrified with breweries and murals. Samuel trudged the blocks, salt crunching under boots, past rainbow crosswalks that mocked his old sermons. The door answered to a woman in her 40s, wiry and warm, paint-splattered apron over jeans. Can I help? Her eyes narrowed, then widened at the letters he clutched. Theo? God, it's been. You're Sammy? Samuel now, his voice gravel. Elias's boy, she, Clara, Theo's daughter, ushered him in. The house a riot of canvases and cat hair, smells of curry lingering. Theo sat by the bay window, 80 if a day, frail in a cardigan, oxygen tube a whisper. But his eyes, sharp blue, like the letters described, lit on Samuel, and time folded. Sammy, not a question, a benediction. Theo's hand extended, veined and steady. Samuel took it, knees buckling to the rug. You came, words failed. So they sat, Clara brewing tea, the radiator hissing like old confidences. Theo's tale unspooled slow. Meeting Elias in '67 at a Stonewall precursor rally, hidden in a backroom jazz club. He was fire, preacher's kid with a rebel streak. We built a life in shadows. Weekends in the village, summers fishing your Georgia creeks. But when your folks drowned, Theo's gaze softened. Elias couldn't leave you. Moved south. Played uncle. I'd visit. Pose as cousin. Those letters? My lifeline to him. Samuel's throat burned. He never said. Hid you like a sin. Theo chuckled. Wheezy. Not sin. Survival. The world ate men like us. AIDS took friends. Fear took more. Elias chose you, raised you whole, even if it halved him. He squeezed Samuel's hand. He wrote of your fire, sermons that shook him, but your heart, pure gold, tears carved free, Samuel's shoulders shaking. I preached against it. Against him. Burned his memory to ash. Theo pulled him close, frail arms iron. And now, you're here. That's resurrection. Clara joined, sharing photos, Elias and Theo at Pride 79, arms linked defiant. Samuel as teen, oblivious in the background. Laughter mingled with sobs, the afternoon bleeding to evening. Theo's cough worsened, but his stories flowed, Elias's laugh, their first fight over coming out, the quiet vow to love fierce, brief as it was. By nightfall, Samuel unburdened. The photo, Daniel's confession, the resignation. My nephew, he's gay. Brave where I cowered. Made me see. I loved Elias. Not just as kin. Deeper. Buried it, but it shaped me. Theo nodded. Wise. Love don't bury easy. It rises. He pressed a key into Samuel's palm. To a cabin upstate, Elias's last gift. Go there. Write your own letters. To him, to Daniel. Heal. Samuel stayed a week, nursing Theo through a flare-up. Clara's canvases a backdrop to Revelations. He helped in the kitchen, learned Clara's queer art collective, attended a vigil for trans youth, steps tentative, but taken. Letters poured out on Theo's old underwood. To Elias, apologies etched in ink. To Daniel, truths laid bare. Back in Atlanta, spring unfurled tentative, azaleas blazing, the city a hum of rebirth. Daniel waited at the airport, Jamie's hand in his, when Samuel emerged, thinner, lighter, a man unyoked. Philly air agrees, Daniel joked, hugging fierce. They drove to the parsonage one last time. Boxes for charity, ghosts to lay. In the attic, Samuel found Elias's whittling knife, gifting it to Daniel. Carve your path. Boy, that summer, Samuel joined a progressive ministry in Decatur. Sermons on grace over judgment. Weddings for all loves. Daniel and Jamie bought a fixer-upper in Inman Park. Rings exchanged under willows echoing that first kiss. Samuel officiated, voice steady. Love's the secret we all raise, hidden, then holy. One crisp October eve, they gathered at the quarry, Daniel, Jamie, Samuel, even Lila with her cobbler. Fire crackled, beers cracked, stories swapped. Samuel pulled the old photo from his wallet, now framed in memory. To Elias, who raised us all in secret, glasses raised, the toast rippling like ripples on water. Daniel leaned into Jamie, Samuel's hand on his shoulder. Family, fractured and forged anew. The stars wheeled overhead, indifferent witnesses to redemption's quiet roar. In Millwood's shadow, they'd built light, luminous, unashamed, a love that outlasted sermons and storms.